not the right thing to do. Now that sounds pretty easy, but eh. Hey, it's Annika here with Sniffdog. Are you so tired of the same nagging behavior issue driving you crazy and you feel like your dog just won't listen to you? This video is for you because you're probably doing one of these things wrong.
At Sniffdog, we're here to teach you how to speak dog. If you can have a better understanding of your dog, you can have a relationship built off trust and fun. We want to come on this wonderful journey of pet ownership with you to help empower the love and connection between you and your pup.
Real quick before we get started with today's video, I want to give a shout out to Sheena. Thank you for entertaining us with all of the DMs you're giving us and for commenting and liking and sharing. We feel the love. If you want to be featured on our YouTube videos or our Instagram videos, make sure that you leave us some comments about what you want to learn more about and share our content with your friends. Don't forget to download the training tip sheet. I made it for you, and enjoy the bloopers. P.S. The bloopers are at the end, so you have to stay to the end to see them, which you should. All right, this one is a fun one for me. In the last 12 years as a dog trainer, I can't help but notice the common trends of errors that pet owners are making. If you just stop doing these 3 common errors, I promise you, your relationship will be better with your pet and you'll be able to have them listen to you once and for all. I know how frustrating it is when you feel like you're being clear and they're not responding. And sometimes you are being clear and they're choosing not to respond. But a lot of the time, you are doing one of these things wrong, which is leading to your dog to be so sick of all of your talking. All right, let's get to the 3 most common and biggest mistakes people make when training their dogs. Common mistake number 1 is that you are rushing your training or having unrealistic expectations of your dog. This is a killer for your relationship and also your joy levels. If you don't realize how inappropriate your ask of your dog is, I see this all the time when people have like a 3-month-old dog and they're really excited, and I'm excited for you that you're excited to train your dog, but teaching a 3-month-old dog really hard skills like stay in an outside environment or leash manners or to come when called in the middle of a play date, those are examples of incredibly unrealistic or unfair, in my opinion, expectations. If you set your expectations up here and your dog physiologically cannot respond because their brain doesn't have the capability to do so, you're setting yourself up for major frustration, and you're setting your dog up to fail, which feels like shit for both of you. So it's very important that you check yourself. Is it normal for my dog to do this at this age? Is it normal for me to want them to respond a certain way and them not get it right? Hire a trainer. These are really important questions for you to ask. It's very important you get curious around these things. Is my ask fair or unfair? Is their response normal or not normal? Most of the time, my job with my clients is to coach them on shifting expectation. Yes, you taught leave it in your living room 15 times, which took a total of 7 minutes. And now you're expecting your dog the next day to leave the chicken bone on the walk because you said so. Hello! It takes them months to learn that skill from the living room with the treats you use to the chicken bone on the street in a totally novel environment. That is an unrealistic expectation. Great for you to be keen and have expectations because you're being a responsible pet owner. But boy, oh boy, does your dog feel your frustration. And it's very detrimental to your relationship if you continue to ask them to do things that is simply too hard for them, because of course they will fail. It is definitely important that you involve yourself in some group training or private training with a positive reinforcement trainer so you have somebody to bounce that question off of. Is this a fair expectation? Most of the time, the answer is going to be no, not so much. And I love this topic. Most of the stuff that we want our dogs to stop doing are totally instinctive dog behaviors. And so we're constantly nagging at them to stop that, stop that, stop that. Man, it's not fun to be a dog sometimes. And what we're asking them to do is go against their instinct. And that is a big ask, and it takes a lot of repetition for them to learn.
Oh, digging at the dirt in the bottom of the plant base in the living room is not allowed.
Because their instinct is to dig at dirt. And so having some compassion for their experience where they're undogging themselves and learning to exist in a human world, ooh, It's a beautiful place for relationship to build and for you to really understand where they're coming from with the behavior that they are doing so that you can have more fair of expectations put upon them. Okay, so my ask of you is to not have these high expectations, but just also, more importantly, to get curious. When something is happening that you don't like, get curious. Why is my dog doing that? He's probably just doing it because instinct told him to and he hasn't thought about it at all. It's important for you to get clear with the why so that you can respond accordingly and with the right energy and emotional attachment to your reaction. Get curious first and then problem solve second. So we're just gonna wrap up this tip number 1 by saying, I want you to very much recognize your dog does not come hardwired with any understanding on how to exist under your human expectations. They're just doing what works for them and what feels good. That's it. That is the beauty of dogs. We have a lot to learn from them if we can just stop and get curious about why they're doing something before we have a negative reaction or ask them to do something that's a little unfair. And you can expect to have to put hundreds, if not thousands of repetitions into training certain behaviors such as leave it or coming when called over the course of a few months when you get your dog in order to achieve your goal. You can't just train things a couple of times in an easy environment and then use it in the off-leash area where you need it long term. You've got to work for many months at repetitions and training to get to the finish line where you aim to go. And often that takes you until about the time that your dog is a year old. So don't taper off on your training and have fair expectations all the way leading up until that point. All right, the second most common mistake I see people make is being very hyper-focused on suppressing or correcting problem behaviors. We first need to understand dogs do things for a reason. They don't have energy to waste. They are animals after all. And so we have to get curious, like I said before, about why a dog is doing something. Many behaviors they do that we do not love come from somewhere, whether your dog is scared of something and they're barking at it, they're bored so they're digging up your yard, they are anxious left alone so they chewed up your couch. There's a why behind all of those unwanted and undesired behaviors. But if we just focus on pushing this behavior down and pushing this behavior down, and you know what, this particular behavior is an inconvenience to me, so I'd like to push that one down too. If you're just spending all your time focusing on all the things your dog is doing wrong, and you're not first figuring out why that behavior is happening, then you're just going to see other symptoms kind of surface. Over here, all these new things are happening every 6 months. You're like, I don't get it. Why is he acting like this? Because you're not dealing with the root cause of the behavior issue. This is my biggest passion as a dog trainer. Why is your dog doing it? Let's figure that out first. Oh, he's terrified. Okay, well then we can, hold some space for that fear and try to make him feel better about the thing he's terrified of. If we make him feel better about the thing he's terrified of, the symptom, which might be barking, growling, lunging, or biting, the symptom will go away if we change the emotional reaction to the thing that your dog is nervous about. So if you don't take the time to get curious, have some compassion, and treat the bottom foundation problem, the symptoms, the barking, lunging, growling, will never go away. They will just suppress because you've corrected them or scared your dog into not doing them, and those feelings will ripple up and cause some other behaviors somewhere down the line. The problem is us humans are very quick to want things solved. Problem solved. We're very focused on that. I'm absolutely guilty of doing the same. But with dogs, anything that is, quickly fixed is going to have a ripple effect and probably blow up in your face. Dogs aren't robots. They're not iPhones that need a new screen. They actually take a long time for us to impact and notice behavior change. New habits take a long time for them to form. New feelings around things that they're scared of take a long time to convince them of. And our need for quick fixes is very human. And I think you just need to hold a lot of space and patience for your dog's journey when you're working them through some behavior issues. Whether it's puppy behavior issues or adult behavior issues, it's all the same. It's usually very workable, but our attachment to getting results right away is what often leads us down some very bad paths. And what I mean by that is we start Googling pet correctors and all kinds of things and gimmicks and quick fixes that scare the shit out of our dog or hurt our dog or make our dog uncomfortable, and we don't care because it stopped the symptom from being seen. And that is dangerous territory. Anything that is going to offer you a quick fix or suppress something now and today, I promise you will be detrimental to your dog's behavior long term. Nothing is quick when you're changing the mind of an animal who has their own experiences happening within them that we have to get curious about. If you want a loving and fun relationship with your dog, be patient. Do not try just to suppress inconvenient behaviors, and definitely ask for help from a trainer if behaviors are nagging and irritating and you just have reached the end of your rope in terms of your awareness on how to fix it. We're not trying to fix things all the time. We're trying to understand why it's happening and then come to some behavior solutions with the help of a trainer, and no quick gimmicks that are promising you that they will stop behavior now. Okay, let's get to the third most common mistake people make. Now, it's been a little serious so far, sorry. This is shit people get wrong all the time, and I'm really advocating for dogs here when I get passionate about telling you, please stop doing all these things. But the third mistake people make is talking and talking and talking. Now, I certainly do a lot of it. Thank you for listening. I hope this is helpful. But newsflash, dogs don't speak English. This is my favorite mistake. There's somebody in the home right now that is going to look to the person beside them and go, you do that. Permission to pick on that person, because everywhere I go, when I see people interacting with their dogs, it sounds like this. Fido, 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 come here, come here, come here now, come over here, come. I hear it all the time. I can't be around it, because what's happening is your dog hears the first couple of cues and then they're like,
oh, so annoying. He won't stop nagging me. She won't shut up.
You teach them literally to ignore your words by saying them too much. The more you say things, the less they are relevant to your dog. I would also recommend that the tone you say things in helps your dog differentiate.
What words is this human being speaking that are made for me? And what words is this human being speaking that are made for the other humans in the room?
If I talk all day, I want my dog to hear certain words that stand out through training. You train come and then offer them food so that they think the word come is relevant to them. You train the word sit so that when you ask them to sit, they understand that word means the action of their ass hitting the ground. But if you sound like this, come, over time, they learn that that word becomes less and less important and valid and relevant, and they learn to ignore it. And then you get mad at them for learning to ignore it because you said it too much. And here we go in this dirty little cycle of you being frustrated with your dog and your dog being frustrated with you because you never shut up. I see it all the time in group classes too, and I always coach people, you don't know that you're the one repeating the cue until somebody calls you on it, because we are so perpetually quick to repeat ourselves, especially if you have kids. You know, having a loved one that says you're doing the thing would really help you become a better trainer, and would help your dog learn that what you say you mean and what you say to them in certain tones has relevance. No parrots, please. The more you talk, the less they listen. Okay, some of you are sitting there thinking, great lady, dogs listen to you because you have a really high-pitched, happy-sounding voice, which, by the way, I'm sorry about. And you know, what do you do when your dog doesn't listen to you? Well, I would say don't repeat the cue unless 30 seconds to a minute has passed. If they don't listen to something and you're like, hello, I'm talking to you, maybe you can take a few steps and bring some energy to the table, like move your body, and then ask them again once 30 seconds has passed. You can make all kinds of weird noises until your dog's like,
what are you going on about? Oh, there's a hand signal for sit. You must have said sit a minute ago.
And then their butt touches the ground. You can re-gesture with your hands. P.S. All dogs are very visual more than they're auditory. And so a lot of people say to me, he's so much better with hand signals than he is verbal cues. Well, that's because he's a dog. And so if you're stuck saying sit and your dog doesn't listen, give them a hand gesture. Almost everything you train with a dog should have a hand signal, so that when your verbal command fails or cue fails, you have a second step, which is to show them what you want, whether it's sit, watch me, come. Understanding that they're going to be visual first, stop talking, start showing them what you want with a hand gesture, making lots of noises and some encouraging movement before you re-cue. One last thing about that is if you're in a training session, let's say you're on a corner of a street and you've asked your dog to sit and they don't listen, don't just move on with your day, because if you keep on walking, then they learn ignoring you works and I don't have to sit if I just ignore the words and I get to go across the street now. So follow through on what you ask, but just stand there and wait for them. There is a beautiful moment that happens when you just patiently wait for them to respond to a cue if they know that behavior. After maybe a minute, they'll be like,
shit, you're really gonna make me sit on this one, hey?
yep, I said it a minute ago, my hand is still up here waiting for you to respond. When your dog finally sits, good boy, praise them. You guys just had a little moment of them being like,
I want to.
and you being like, well, you have to if you want to cross the street. And then you can cross the street. Beautiful conversation happened. You didn't repeat the cue a million times. You gave your dog the time and the space and the opportunity to decide whether they wanted to participate, and you didn't get frustrated because dogs are dogs. They're not always going to listen to you, even if you do everything right. Okay, that's it. I hope I didn't harp on you too hard. Permission to have arguments in your home about who repeats the cues too much, who has unrealistic expectations, and who's focusing too much on suppressing all the annoying bad behaviors. I hope that you found this video helpful. Don't forget to download the training tip sheet, and also press subscribe on YouTube and the notify button so you find out when we release a video every week. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We got lots of tidbits and information there for you. We're also doing a lot of Instagram lives where you're free to join us and ask any question with me in my living room with Cedar on a weekly basis. Look forward to seeing you all soon. The second biggest mistake people make is focused. My eyes, these lights are bright today. I have this like eye twitch thing that keeps happening because I'm tired and it's bright. I almost just knocked over the whole computer and light. Okay, hold on.